Hello, everybody. This is Frank with Iron Age News on the South Florida Conservative News Center, Sunday, November 16th, 9:48 a.m. And a little more New York news and an upcoming congressional race for the New York 12th Congressional District. Jack Schlossberg, who is the grandson of John F. Kennedy through his daughter Carolyn Kennedy, intends to step into the ring and run against Jerry Nadler, one of the most entrenched Democrats ugh, in Washington. So, what you have here isn't just a political but symbolic matchup. So, let's talk about this before the twist and the turns all start coming his way. Jack Schlossberg is political royalty. He's the only grandson of JFK, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, for those of you who don't remember, the heir to the Kennedy name and instantly recognizable because of that heritage. His resume is very elite. A Yale undergrad, Harvard Law and Business School joint JD and MBA. He has worked in Japan's tech sector. He interned at the State Department, which is kind of pro forma for anyone from the Kennedy clan. And he was a brief political correspondent in a role for Vogue magazine, obviously because George had been out of business for quite some time. He's young. They say the camera loves him, which is a Kennedy trait. Very comfortable on social media and speaks the political language of a new generation. His early messaging focuses on cost of living, corruption, and renewal of democratic norms. But the catch that we have here, and this is the same thing I say down here in my state, he has never held an elected office, and yet he is going to run for Congress. He has no legislative experience, no track record of delivering results, and no detailed policy platform. His strength is he's related to John Kennedy, who I would say more than 70% of the voters have an idea of who he is, but have no idea what he did. All right, you've got a much younger voting class. Kennedy has been dead for quite some time. What most people know about Kennedy, they know from conspiracy stories or the movie or things of that nature. All right, so it's kind of iffy on that one. Robert Kennedy, who at least he was the son of an actual Kennedy, meaning, Robert Kennedy Sr. being assassinated, he knew a little bit about his father. Schlossberg has no idea at all about Big John because John was dead quite some time before Schlossberg was born, which I believe was in the early 90s. So you contrast Schlossberg with Jerry Nadler, old pissy pants himself, right? Nadler's been in Congress over 30 years. 30 long, it's to like 210 years because he's a dog. Before that, he spent nearly 2 decades in the New York State Assembly. He's chaired the House Judiciary Committee, as you remember. He has shaped major legislation. He has played key roles in impeachment and oversight battles, the infinite impeachment, or we would say the eternal impeachment of Donald Trump, Jerry Nadler, uh, Schumer, Schiff, the usual suspects were always there. He is, for better or worse, the image of an institutional Democrat, not a socialist, definitely a grifter. So, that is institutional democracy or an institutional Democrat. In the Trump era, Nadler became one of the most aggressive figures pushing investigations, subpoenas, and impeachment, as we said. Supporters see him as a defender of democracy. This is from a quote from something somebody had written about him. Critics say he pursued political warfare long after evidence weakened. Either way, like I said, Nadler is a known quantity. You know what he delivers when he shows up. Is he the best Democrat that money can buy for that district? Probably. Probably. So here's a short comparison for those of you who want it. Nadler, decades of legislative work. Schlossberg, zero. On identity, Nadler is a veteran operator. Schlossberg is a Kennedy heir. He's a fresh face. Policy, Nadler is clearly a liberal, civil rights, transit, judicial oversight. Schlossberg, talking points, doesn't really have it together yet, nothing specific. Political warfare, Nadler is a symbol of anti Trump legal combat at all costs. Lies, truths don't matter. We will get him, or we will hold him, or we will do something. Schlossberg has no comparable history. He only has some commentary, but doesn't seem to be the vindictive prick that Nadler's made himself out to be all these years, which is not in the party considered to be a vindictive prick. It's considered to be a good party member. Now, electability wise, anyone who's seen Nadler during the last of these televised committee meetings and everything, they'll say his people say he's reliable but aging. Other people say he's a faded clown and should be taken out to back pasture someplace. You look at it however you would look at it. I would tell you to go and see some of his give and takes. Forbes probably tries to keep it the least biased of all of them. So you can watch some of the Forbes things where he's in there trying to get, when they went to this aha gotcha shit, Nadler fell apart. That's not his thing. He quietly pushes the grift. He doesn't want to be out here. I mean, he will sign on to burying people, but he doesn't really like to kill them with his own hands. Okay, because he doesn't have it. It's like that moron from Hawaii, right? So that is what makes this race an almost generational referendum. Old guard, and by old we mean with a capital O and an E at the end, versus a young, fresh face who has promise. The speculation that Schlossberg might be a closet progressive, I would say champagne socialist, knowing, the way his mother's husbands act, because once again, separate rules for me and thee, and that he would be leaning towards the AOC or the squad. I think he may himself be that way, but I don't see him as a joiner like Jared Moskowitz is. Jared's the congressman from Palm Beach County, and he's a real piece of garbage. Which is the problem is we've done nothing to put anybody good up against him. I think a good ham sandwich on a nice crusty rye could beat Jared Moskowitz any day. Unfortunately, the Broward and Palm Beach County RNC are both equally busy taking money, I would say, from who knows who, because I'll get sued, but obviously not from the right people because they put up nobody against him. The guy who could have beaten him was X amount of people ago. I'm not going to mention his name because I think he did get a job with the administration, but it's surely none of the jokers that have run in the last term. Okay, so let's get past that and go back to what we were saying. Uh, there is no evidence as of yet about Schlossberg with that. And like I said, he would not be the joiner type. I think he would keep it to himself and keep it down, unlike Comrade Bernie does, right? He has not really endorsed socialist policies. He hasn't aligned with DSA or any radical progressive caucus. He hasn't laid out positions on healthcare, taxation, or energy. If he's smart and his family would have coached him, he would shut up, sit back for the first term or two, and be a backbencher. His mother had run for office. I forget if she was running for Congress or Senate one time, and they destroyed her specifically on this, that she had no political experience at all, and just being a Kennedy is not enough to get you a job. And if they follow that same mantra, the Nadler people against this guy, because once you lose that last name, he is a Kennedy in the grand scheme of things, much like Arnold Schwarzenegger's wife is a Kennedy, even though she's a Shriver. They count that whole incestuous little group as family members. All right. Most people don't because most people didn't grow up doing weird shit like the Kennedys did. Okay. So this is what we have going on up there. If you are in that race, you had better seriously look at what's going on. Nadler is garbage. There's a chance that he could be. I think they've looked at trying to get something on him, but he didn't do as many openly dirty things as you would think. He wasn't like he wasn't like Menendez from New Jersey, where he was taking gold bars for bribes. He isn't like Adam Schiff, who has consistently lied about having evidence that would convict President Trump on Russiagate. He has never turned it over. Nobody has asked him for it. He should be in jail right now. Nobody's moved on him, and I have no idea why. As a congressman, he said he had in his possession documentation that would bring the president down. He has never presented that documentation to anybody. In fact, he has become a senator based on his antics in the congressional halls. He's a sociopath, a lot of other things, but he is definitely not a quality senator. I would take Schumer over Schiff, which is scary. So that's what we have here for you to look at. So there's your contrast. Those of you who are voting in that district better think about what you want to do. And you really want to see right now, how is Nadler relating to Mamdani? The state of New York, since they brought in this Muslim, Islamic fascist, whatever the hell he wants to be called, because he's going to start up, the city of New York's election system will never, ever be as neglected as it was this time again. The New York State Democratic Mafia cannot allow it to happen. The governor has already put a lot of safety rails in place around Mamdani, but she forgets that this guy is an egoist. His money comes from care. His money comes from a lot of other places. He doesn't need her money. He needs to whip up a firestorm in the city of New York. And that's what these people don't understand. He's not there to govern. He is there to make it ungovernable under the present situation. And that is the big issue. So if the New York Democrats wish to keep control of the state, which is what their whole plan was with keeping the illegals in there and all that, they're going to have to really realize that when Mandami's gone, you're going to have to be able to fix which Democrat puppet you have come in there. Or it's going to be more of the same, or you're going to have to go in there with the army, not the National Guard, but the army to get those people out of there. So anyway, that's about all I have for you on this one. Sunday, have a good day at church, and I will talk to you all later on. Bye-bye.